Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. My name is Niels Tode Winter and I am the creator, editor and host of The Grant. After covering a solid chunk of the proposal timeline in my timeline series the last handful of weeks, I am now taking a break from that and have some guests on board on other issues. An area that I haven't touched upon yet is the university sector. It is a clear ambition of this initiative to cover also this area very well, and it will get its dedicated corner of the grant under the label Campus. First episode to dig into the university and research sector will zoom in on the Brussels representation of the Norwegian University for Science and Technology, NTNU. Many universities throughout Europe have chosen to establish an office in Brussels to get closer to the EU R&D ecosystem, both decision makers, influencers, and collaboration partners of strategic importance for the university faculties. I have invited head of NTNU Brussels Office, Massimo Busuoli, into the virtual podcast studio to share with us why NTNU established an office in Brussels, how they use the representation strategically, what the university gets out of it, and finally, and not least, the crucial question of how they efficiently coordinate work with more than 1,000 kilometers apart and secure a strong connection to all corners of a big university. It is a fantastic talk that brings us right into the machine room of university EU funding strategics. Massimo and I had a quite long talk. Therefore, this episode has been divided into two parts. In the first half, we focus on a very specific topic that most Brussels representations will know very well: how to secure a strong connection back home with a vibrant collaboration and achieving important results when the physical distance between the liaison office and the university is more than 1,000 kilometers. Please enjoy. The Grant. Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. Still the one and only. I'm still waiting to see if anyone is going to challenge me here or just make other stuff on this. It's going to be interesting. Now, anyways, I have released some episodes on the concrete proposal writing in the sections in the Horizon Europe proposal series, the timeline series. But now we're back to having an interview. I had some interviews some weeks ago, a handful, and now I have another one. As most of you know that's been following this, I switch a little bit in between solo episodes and having guests on board to dig into different things and panels and so on. Now, but let's just get started. And actually been talking too long already, given the fact that I have a guest in the virtual podcast room here. So I've invited a guest on board from the university world, from Brussels, but I'm not going to talk to you in third anymore, Massimo. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Niels, first of all for the invitation to this very interesting and useful series of podcasts you are organizing. I'm very happy to be here and to contribute to you to increase the knowledge and the understanding of the fantastic EU world of funding and opportunity for research. My name is Massimo Busuoli and I am the Director of NTNU Brussels Office, NTNU being the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, currently, let's say, is the largest in Norway in terms of dimension, with its 7,800 employees, out of which 4,500 are researchers. I am the lucky director of the Brussels office of NTNU since 2016, which is the year in which the university have decided to invest in the European system and get to Brussels to increase the capability of the university to be more present and contribute in the development of the so-called European research area. About my background, I'm a physicist and I worked for a lot of my life, at least for the first 22 years of my life, for the second research body of Italy, which is called ENEA, the Italian National Agency for New Technologies, the Energy and Sustainable Economic Development, first as a researcher and starting from 2006 as director of the liaison office of ENEA in Brussels. After 10 years of work in Brussels, I got an offer from the Norwegian system, which I have, of course, proudly accepted because I think it was an interesting new opportunity for my career. Also because I'm a person who loves the challenges and I'm a person who like to discover new things and understand. Because in life, you're always growing, That's the point. So this is me.
Thank you. And your experience within the EU funding world would be on the facilitating side, or did you ever write?
Well, I think I am a sort of lucky profile for the Brussels system because of my origins in terms of my work, not because I think I'm such a special person, but the fact that in my past I've been a researcher who worked in the management and writing of proposals took me somehow to develop not only the expertise in supporting, if you want, or facilitating the generation of projects, but also to somehow interpret what is happening in the Belgian system, also in terms of strategy, in order to match it with real initiatives that can be performed by my customers that today are researchers. So somehow in designing the way I work, I try to ask myself what I would have loved to have when I was a researcher. And this is the way I try to interpret my role in the Brussels office, which devote services at the moment, if you want, we are more balanced on the side of support to promotion and representation of NTNU, positioning, meaning trying to engage our researchers in relevant initiatives, so to contribute to the strategic side, the so-called pre-award. I would even not call it pre-award because we are still in the area of strategy, but also given the fact that I have a background in project writing, and of course I still have an extensive network of contacts with a lot of research organizations and a lot of researchers, from time to time we also support the inclusion of our researchers in projects, and also we give some advice or we help, thanks to our position in Brussels that foresee also the participation of the office in network of stakeholders. We can also help in finding adequate partner for consortia that our universities be.
Actually, it's a rare case, and I'm probably stepping some people over their toes now, but I don't care. What is in the facilitating part of this world, EU funding world, you have lots of people who have never tasted their own medicine.
I definitely agree. When I say that I'm a lucky example, I think, of course, I'm in Brussels since 16 years, and I met a lot of colleagues representing organization, being head of office, excellent professionals, I have to say. And of course, normally the profile of a director of a liaison office in Brussels is more like someone coming from policy studies, European policy studies and so on. And in most of the cases, you have people which are very, very acquainted on the dynamics of the decision processes, if you want. But as you correctly say, sometimes they lack the practical taste of how things are going on the other side, and then the dialogue between an office and its community of users, which normally are the researchers, of course, can result a bit more difficult because the two lines are basically talking different languages. In my case, I have the lucky, as I told you, chance about having been a researcher engaged in managing and writing proposals. So somehow I'm a bit, if you want, more aware about the desiderata that people from the other side could have. And so I try to give the answer according to what I would have loved to have when I was a researcher.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was myself taught the other way around. I started as an NCP, not knowing anything about projects, proposals for the Danish government. And then I was actually thrown into coordinating an FP6 project as the first thing when I started. Never seen anything like this before. I was thrown into that. So I got a little taste, but it took some years, took 5 years where I was telling people what to do without actually having written a proposal or being sitting in that situation myself. And it helped me immensely on the other side, because I then got a brief encounter with the private consultancy and then went back to facilitating, and it just made the difference, huge difference in my support for stakeholders, that I knew what they were going through.
I fully agree. Otherwise, the way you can interpret your job as an NCP can happen to be just somehow knowing the instructions for use, but you do not do any added value if you don't have a direct experience on which to somehow add concrete examples on what are the so-called instruction for use that are available in the guidelines for the Commission, and of course which the NCPs have to know very well to help people to dig this enormous amount of information that is available. So I agree with you. I mean, having hands-on for a while help you to somehow shape your capability to support your research system with a bit more efficiency, if you want.
Yeah, and I'm not, so for all the hardworking NCPs that
absolutely not,
that
absolutely not
been on the side of writing proposals, it's not to say that they're not good, because I know many NCPs that are lovely.
This is not
but
intended.
it just gives a spice and sass to your understanding and to your counseling.
Yeah. Fully agree.
That is difficult when you haven't tried it yourself. No, we're already talking content here, which is good. I love these interviews with guests, because it's sometimes we take some little detours and so like this. So that's how it's supposed to be. Massimo, you actually already did a short introduction to NTNU Brussels, but maybe you tell us about the background of establishing the office and what the what is the strategic mission from the university side to have a
this is something I really love of the Norwegian system, because the reason why the office was established 6 years ago is basically linked to the fact that the Norwegian government at a certain point called the stakeholders and said, guys, we are putting a lot of money as an associate country into framework programs, but in reality we're not participating enough. Our return rate is too low compared to the amount that we put inside. And this is not linked to the fact that we are not good in participating, or that we are not excellent or have the nice right level to go to projects, but in reality is due to the fact that we are not enough present in the system. So I call you, and the message has been given by the government to all the research bodies, I call you to study a way to increase your participation in the framework program. This was happening, I think, in 2015.
Well, it's a young office.
And this has been the moment in which the Norwegian system have somehow mobilized in different ways, because every institution have chosen a different strategy. And NTNU decided that it was also very useful to have a Brussels office to somehow even help the system to be more near to Brussels, which was probably perceived also as far as difficult, And this has been the moment in which I got somehow selected by NTNU as their ideal director. And I'm very proud of it, because, when it happened that you are the person which is asked to take such an important role for such a relevant organization, we don't have to forget that NTNU is a polytechnic university, so our profile is a lot on science and technology, despite the fact that we have medicine, that we have, of course, architecture, we have social science, humanities, economy. I think NTNU, I like to define it as the supermarket of knowledge, no? And when I applied for it, and I have, of course, studied the profile, I was very comfortable, because I was coming from another organization which was a multidisciplinary, scientific and technologically oriented organization. So it was an ideal growth for me, if you want, to go in an horizontal career, but from an organization which was not the first one in the country, which was ENEA, to an organization which was the first in the country, which is NTNU. And I took this decision, as I told you, to challenge myself and to check if my vision and approach was somehow a good one also, if you want, detached from my national system of reference. So it was a nice challenge to try. And then coming back to the reason. So basically the government called the system to go for it and also put a target for the national system. They told, we expect Norway to get back at least 2% of the funding for Horizon, considering that I think at the time the contribution of Norway was 2.3% of the overall Horizon budget. Well, the fact that the system mobilized like a single man really fascinated me. I mean, it was really an effort. And at the end, we came out as 4 organizations from Norway opening a joint office here. Today, we are the Norwegian House of Research and Innovation, and together with NTNU in the office sit SINTEF, which is the largest RTO of Norway, sits University of Bergen, which also decided to open an office in Brussels, and sits Norse, which is another RTO that is being funded by different universities in Norway to somehow take inspiration from the model NTNU SINTEF, which are 2 institutions that are very hooked together and that are both based in Trondheim. And today our 4 institutions are basically active in Brussels. We also have internal collaboration and we try to do our best to help the Norwegian system to increase as much as possible. And I have to tell you that at the end of Horizon Europe, the Norwegian system, I think, took home something like 2.3 or 2.4%, meaning that the target was reached. And today we have had a very good start in the first 2 calls. I think that today already in the first 2 calls, the Norwegian system have collected something above the 3% of the available funding. So it's a system in growth. My university itself posed a target, 1 billion kronas to be achieved in the framework program. And I have to tell you, we closed with 50 million euro of funded proposal. So we even over exceeded our target expectation. And consider that the 1 billion kronas was the doubling of what we did in FP7. So this demonstrates that in reality, the system was really not present, not capable, but not present enough. So increasing the presence took us to get more on board. And into this, the Brussels office has been, if you want, instrumental in facilitating this to happen.
And we're going to get back to that shortly throughout this, because this is part of the reason why I'm having this episode, so to say, or why I invited you, is to have a talk about the effect of one of the things we're going to talk about is about the effect of having such an office and what added value it can have. So that's a good bridge. So I've divided this episode into 3 main sections, and it's based on my own work. At least the first section here we're going to talk about. So it's divided into, the first section is I called the connection home, and then we will have a talk about the lobby efforts, and then we will have a talk about the project facilitation itself. Now, I've been in the Brussels environment for many years myself, from different corners. Public system, regional system, so on, civil servant, and as a private consultant, but I've never worked for a university, but I've been working with universities. But for the case of having a facilitation and representative office, I know a lot about what that entails. And the first element here, the connection home, is based on that experience, because there's something happens when you place a representative office somewhere with 1 or 2 employees, and then they're supposed to roll out a strategy based on a very large organization, thousands of kilometers away. So there are some elements in that you really need to be aware of when you do these kind of things. So I would like to have a talk about it, how you are doing this, how you are dealing with the distance organizationally, and how you work with the teams and the faculties and so on back home.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. You wanted to
No,
ask something earlier?
we're about to move on to where you're supposed to say something.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm going.
So first of all, I put kind of four bullets under this here. So
Okay.
the first one is about mapping the university needs, but maybe you yourself can start your reflections on this connection home issue, the distance
Yeah.
organizationally. So
Yeah. No
how do
problem.
you work with that? Because normally you would have a strategy or some sort of that.
Yeah. You, of course, totally catched the main challenge that you have when you are somehow a front runner, which is several kilometers far from home, from your home institution, because I cannot call Norway my home as I am Italian, as probably you have understood. But the point is, yes, NTNU has a general strategy, which is not a peculiar strategy for each of the faculty, but is a general strategy on which to integrate the various initiatives. Then the point is how to make sure that you somehow match the needs the faculty has. And we don't have to forget the university are very peculiar entities because first of all, university is very big. And second, as every big organization, each of the faculty is a sort of separate pass me the term kingdom or territory. So every faculty have first the tendency to work vertically, and then, of course, there is a moment in which there is necessity to generate horizontality in the work of the faculties. The problem is how to match these two things and how to somehow spot out the needs according to what are the opportunities. And this is the real moment in which a proactive Brussels office, if you want, can make the difference. Because if you wait the system to somehow give you detailed priorities, you will never have them. But if you arrive to the system taking as inspiration the European initiatives, the European priorities, and the European strategies, then you can really stimulate a reflection home about to go in certain directions. So the way the Brussels office of NTNU works is a monthly presence in the university to meet people, to understand what's going on, to understand what they're doing, and also to understand if they have any specific need. But also on the other side, to proactively provoke them about considering to do different actions that can devote in the mid-long term impact. This is where you see a proactive office makes a difference compared to normally passive offices that, because in Brussels you can work in two ways. You can be passive, you wait for requests and you provide support, you follow the political debate, you send reports about what's going on and wait for someone to react on the other side. This, I think, is, if you want, the less effective way of working. Why? Because normally your reports are read, but rarely you receive immediate reactions. And you know that in the Brussels system, having been here, immediate reaction is key to be part of key initiatives. So how you can make your organization to be reactive? By being propositive, bothering. Bothering means you go there and you say, listen, this is what is going to happen and I think we should go in this direction. What do you think? We should put this and this in place. And then you challenge the decision makers to take action or not. So this means that, of course, on the side of the Brussels office, you need to have, if you want, a bit of vision about the dynamics of research system, about the dynamic of your organization, about the capabilities of your organization. Then sometimes you receive yes, sometimes you receive no. It's fine. If it is a no, I will come back next time with a new proposition. That's how I work, at least. And all of this is in line with our general strategy that, of course, being the strategy of an overall university, which is multidisciplinary, which is composed by different faculties, is by nature a general strategy saying that we need to be among the top 20 universities in Europe. Then the way to be the top 20 university in Europe is left in the hands of the faculties, and every faculty has its own way to go.
Yeah.
And this is where the Brussels office tries, in any case, to steer. Steer is not the correct term, to advise faculties and to challenge them to take actions that are relevant for strong positionings or strong impact in available initiatives at European level.
Do they have targets within this? Do they have the university administration said, or political management say, look,
Yeah.
you need to at least engage yourself in X, Y, set number of proposal? Is there any sort of hard targets on this?
Yeah, no, we have a strategic planning, which is a multi-annual strategic planning, which sets the targets you are mentioning. We have a target for the number of ERC grants that we need to get overall as an institution. We have a target related more this time. The decision of the university, given the fact that the target for the previous framework program was to double the income from projects. This time our target is a bit different given the different nature of Horizon Europe, and the target for NTNU is to be among the top 20 universities in Europe in terms of funding achieved. So there is not, if you want, anymore a numerical target, which was clear last time, but now there is a performance target that makes sense in my opinion, because of course, in any case, if you are in the top 20 university, you are doing very well in the context. So this is the ambition of NTNU for the years to come, to work in order to confirm our position as one of the top 20 universities at European level.
What I'm seeking for here is if there has been made some sort of incentives for the individual team, institute, or faculty, because I know that there's a very different level of capacities within the different faculties, institutes, and teams at any university. So some institutes and teams, they are 200 kilometers per hour with lots of EU projects, and then you have some who really shy away and never does. And to sort of so I think what I'm looking for here is if there is put some things in place to push that could make your work a little easier, so to say, that they are sort of driven to that they have to do some sort of activity.
Yes, there are incentives. There are even economic incentives, I have to tell you. The situation is a bit changing now because the Norwegian system is decreasing these incentives that are provided to the institutions by the national system. The National Research Council provide every year, if I remember correctly, some incentives based on requests from the stakeholders. Yeah. It has been in the past, and it is still, but to a lower decrease, and it is decreasing, a very generous system. Consider, for example, that for every euro that NTNU was getting in European projects, the national system was providing on average €1 of national funding plus to the institutions. So the annual budget of the institutions, of the universities, not all the institutions, of the university in Norway, have a chunk of money which is based on the amount of projects you get at European level. So you get more or less of this batch of money according to the amount of funding you have got from the European system. And this amount changes year by year because it depends on the amount of projects that are got from the Norwegian system. So now that the projects are increasing, the return per euro is lowering because there is, of course, a limit to the total. But the overall batch of budget for university is this. Moreover, for researchers there are a couple of facilitating funding which are called POS and PES. The post is money that a researcher can ask to fund specific activities linked to positioning activities. Let's imagine you have to participate to a meeting or you have to go to a specific initiative where you plan to promote yourself or to position yourself in platform. You can get some money to cover your travel expenses and so on. But most important is the PES funding that in case you as a researcher are engaged in a proposal and need specific support to write a project or you need specific external expertise, you can get some money to
Good.
cover the provision of
Excellent.
this
Yeah,
expertise
that's
by external consultants. So somehow this is not bad. I don't know if this will be true for long, but also if you, a professor, coordinate an initiative, you have the right for a PhD position for
okay.
your group.
That's good.
So these are some of the
All
incentives
right.
that been put on the table by NTNU.
I want to move a little bit into how you are dealing with the different level of engagement, so to say. How you, because that's the challenge. I guess that's one of your biggest challenges. I guess sitting one person. You are one person. Do you have anyone else than yourself?
At the moment, I'm a very dynamic office. I'm the permanent person here with a lot of rotating personnel around me. So I hope that in the future the office can also be increased in the number of permanent staff because it's extremely difficult to work on, as a stop and go, as you can imagine. But for the moment, yes, I am the only permanent person here.
When you are that person and you have to deal with a university of how many institutes do you have?
We have 8 faculties and 8 faculties.
30 institutes, 40?
I don't remember, but quite many departments. Yeah, more than 30.
To push and support and facilitate, you need some people around those institutes to pull, and not just you to push. How do you deal with that? Do you
I'm not alone.
prioritize when you see, okay, here these are easier to work with, there's a bigger chance for success, so I kind of put the weight over here while I do some other supporting activities for the ones who are a little heavier to drag along? Or how do you work with this?
Well, I think that is good. Your question is very appropriate because it helps me to explain how the EU support system in NTNU works today. The Brussels office is a part of the EU support system of NTNU. Home, there is for each faculty a number of EU advisors, minimally 1, maximally 3 to 4, that basically on daily basis, they support the researchers in proposal preparation, proposal support, and so on. This is, if you want, the pre-award phase, no? And also in the post-award, in the management of the proposal, the EU advisor are key. The Brussels office on this works more on the pre-award phase, so the strategic side, the side in which we promote the expertise of NTNU, the side in which we make NTNU visible and thus desirable, so to also increase the amount of invitations we can get in proposals, and the side in which we somehow put NTNU in relevant initiatives that normally give indirectly also return in terms of networking, in terms of offers for collaboration, because you know perfectly that when you are active in a relevant European initiative like strategic partnership, for example, which are open, you not only contribute in shaping the priorities for the calls to come, but you also meet a lot of people which are going to apply for proposals, and handshaking is the secret for getting into the world. So there is this complementarity, if you want. So when you say how you enter the faculties, of course, I use a lot my collaboration with the EU advisors because they are the one that are managing daily the interaction with the researchers. Then every month, I spend about 1 week, 3 to 4 days in Trondheim. And during this week, I meet personally heads of department, colleagues, professors, discussing specific issues, proposing specific initiatives, pushing people to go in specific direction, or even having meetings to manage some of the current strategic initiatives that the Brussels office contributed to launch and that are still ongoing. The Brussels office have, for example, in the past proposed the generation of the so-called NTNU Fora. These are forum collecting interested professors under specific thematic areas, but the difference between a working group and an NTNU forum is that normally the professor which is leading the forum in collaboration with the Brussels office is the one which has a strategic positioning in a relevant initiative at European level. The first forum that we have launched is called the NTNU Food Forum, and is linked to the fact that the professor which coordinated, Professor Eva Volk, is, thanks to a lobby activity made by the Brussels office, vice chair of the management board of the European Food Forum. So as she is there, she's an important input for news and opportunities that she normally goes back through the forum, through the NTNU forum, to the community of professors interested in the food sector. And this helps her to get multidisciplinary inputs for her work of feedback in the strategic debate happening in Brussels, the professors on the other side to get latest news, but also opportunity, request for collaboration, or other things. We are adopting this forum model for several of the positionings that today NTNU has been capable to build. We have a forum for the construction sector because we have one professor sitting in the management board of the Build for People strategic partnership. We are discussing about the possibility to generate a research alliance for the railway sector, so to interact better with the Shift to Rail strategic partnership. We are building up a forum on raw material because NTNU is in the KIC, is in the strategic partnership, in the innovation partnership, in the mining platform, and we have applied for the raw material alliance. So, you know, the Brussels office is somehow behind this strategic organization of our presence and maximization of our return from the investment we put in being active and actively engaged in relevant platforms. So this is the differentiation, if you want. So my work on project support, if you want, is minimal and related to opportunity.
We wait a little bit with that. We also wait a little bit now. I'm just seeking, circling around the tools that you use for the connection issue to secure a strong connection with for whatever you do, securing understanding who's good, who needs more support, and so on. Where like securing the stream of information, and so I can understand that the fora that you made with sector-specific fora is your tool, important tool for you to secure the flow of information from Brussels to the university and where people are gathered. The important people within that sector is in that forum. Is that correct? Understood?
That's totally correct. And moreover, they are a very important tool to have a single entry door to a system of knowledge. So somehow when someone asks me to collaborate with NTNU in the construction sector, I already know where to go. Otherwise, in an organization which is collecting 4,500 researchers, if you need a specific expertise, is a sort of treasure hunting, as you can imagine. So somehow this helps to have also a fast reaction to opportunity. Because if someone asks to open a bilateral dialogue for collaboration in the food sector, I can easily set up a group of professors that can participate to a brokerage event or a collaboration meeting with another institution on food-related initiatives. Same for construction, same for raw materials, same for autonomous boats, same for clean sky aviation, because these are the platforms where NTNU, some of the platform where NTNU today is active, and they've created internal fora to help a more effective exchange of information, but also, why not, having a direct access to all the expertise available. And these fora include professors from social science and humanities, from economy, from engineering faculty, from natural science faculty. So you really have something which is very aligned with the Horizon Europe approach. Because today, Horizon Europe proposals are very highly interdisciplinary. The missions are very highly interdisciplinary. So if we are capable to generate this interdisciplinarity inside NTNU, our response to opportunities could at least be optimized. Then, of course, I don't know if it is more efficient, better or not, but I think that in this way you can really optimize your job and find quite fast.
It's easier if the thinking behind this for is you already have that sort of as a baseline. Then of course it's easy also when people start to talk about it in proposal related and project related context. So yes, indeed, it's clever. Now, because I know many universities and with an office in Brussels, I'm not sure that I've heard of this way of doing it, but I think it's a good way of solving a handful of problems at the same time, so to say.
Yeah. And together with this, we also launched another initiative as Brussels Office in collaboration with our EU advisors and also our strategic areas, because NTNU has also in Trondheim 4 strategic areas which are also supposed to generate internal multidisciplinarity, dialogue and connection between faculty. One is energy, one is ocean, one is health, and one is sustainability. Mm-hmm. What we have done, we have basically mapped all the interest of interested professors to participate to this in the calls to come. And we have issued a set of 6 brochures where you can easily click on a topic and you will find which professors of NTNU and which kind of expertise they have are interested in that specific topic. So this is, if you want, an advertisement brochure, but is also another tool that help institutions would like to collaborate with NTNU to immediately spot out if NTNU has the expertise they're looking for, any proposals they're doing on a specific topic. Mm-hmm. So these brochures are, of course, at the moment related to the first 2 years of calls. They can easily be found on the Brussels Office website. They are on the top of our page. But we are currently working on the second round of calls, mm-hmm. and we are almost ready to issue a new mapping to the professors to collect the information and edit a new set of brochures, one per cluster, to, again, put it on the market and see if anyone would like to open a collaboration dialogue with any of the professors which agreed to list their interest, knowledge and expertise in these documents.
Very well. Thanks for the introduction to, or thanks for the sharing with me and the listeners, the way that you have dealt with this crucial problem, because I have, just as bridging before we move into the lobbying part, I've myself been experiencing building up an organization supposed to support some stakeholders 1,000 kilometers away. And we didn't think about the organizational complications, and we went through a learning process that was, it's now, but when we went through it, it ends up destroying a lot of work if you make meaningless work, wasted work, if you don't have these things in place. So yeah, very important. Thanks for this. Now, see here, Massimo, we need to move on to the function of the office, of what you are doing there practically, so to say. So most offices. And here we have reached to the end of the first half of this episode on NTNU and their Brussels office. Listen next week to get an insight into how their office work practically and learn about the key role the Brussels office has in NTNU's strategic lobby activities. See you then. The Grant. You have been listening to The Grant, the EU funding podcast.